I finished school at 14, and I got what we called our merit certificate in those days. And then I went to Hassett's Business College, which was in Chapel Street, Prahran. And then went home and told my mother I was going to join Foy and Gibson's. And I went into the hanky department and glove department to start with. And then one day one of the girls I worked with said, I'm going to join the army. How about it? And I said, without there, I said, oh yes, I'll do that too. I went home and told my mother, and when I think back, I was a bit thoughtless because my father was a prisoner of war in Changi at the time, and I didn't think, of course, at that age. I thought later, of course, but I went into the AWAS, Australian Women's Army Service, as it was, and met some wonderful people there. My first posting was what we call Vic LFC, Victorian Lines of Communication, and that was in at 339 Swanson Street. We used to parade up on the roof. They had a flat roof. We used to parade up there, and just behind that is that big tower. You can see now. The men used to come and watch us out through the windows, watch us at that parade. And we marched up and down all through the city nearly every morning. We marched, and then I was sent to Grong Grong, an old, beautiful old home in Toorak. It's not there now, I don't think. And as RQMS to an officer school, and then I learned that my mother wasn't very well, and my brother was still at school, much younger than I was. So I asked, could I have a posting that I could go home? I just thought for a month or so at night, and so I dropped a stripe, became a corporal, and went to the Victoria Barracks in St Kilda Road, and I was there till the end of the war then, and I was able to go home at night and be with my mother at night. As I said, when my father came home from being a prisoner of war, I often wonder, he must have held himself back because, they were taunted and things weren't so good in Changi, but he must have really had control of himself, I think. And he was one of the first to come back. And he couldn't believe that I was in uniform because he didn't know anything about that. As the war ended, I did go into office work then. And then I was offered a job at the Union Steamship Company, and I worked on the switchboard there. And I loved that. My son tells me I talk to everyone because I love talking to people. I got married in 1949, and in 1979 my husband died, and I was asked to join the Bentleigh War Widows and Widowed Mothers, and I did that, and under the circumstances it was the best thing I ever did. And I hasten to say that when you do become a widow, you're in limbo for a little while. Walking in that first day, everything's so strange, but luckily I sat next to an elderly lady. She was elderly to me then, and she was so good, we talked. It was a strange thing. She lived in the next street to where I lived when I was a child, so that broke down a lot of barriers. Then when the president became 90, she thought she'd leave and ask me to be president. I might say at our meetings, we still sing the Queen to start with, then I say the Ode, and then we have 2-minute silence. The War Widows and Widowed Mothers have a pilgrimage to the shrine every March, and this March of this year, some of the Kilvington girls came and took part in the service, and we appreciated that. It was good. I think they enjoyed it too.